December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, a date etched in infamy. The surprise attack by Japanese forces on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, sent shockwaves across the United States. The losses were staggering. The Pacific Fleet lay in ruins. A nation, caught off guard, reeled from the blow. In the wake of this devastating attack, America yearned to strike back. Morale was low, and the nation desperately needed a victory, a symbol of defiance against the seemingly unstoppable Japanese war machine. The American spirit, though wounded, was far from broken. From the ashes of Pearl Harbor emerged a daring plan, a top-secret mission, audacious in its conception and fraught with danger. This mission, known as the Doolittle Raid, would target the Japanese mainland itself, striking a blow at the heart of the enemy. The Doolittle Raid was not conceived as a strategically decisive operation. It was, at its core, a retaliatory strike, aimed at boosting American morale and shaking Japanese confidence. It was a bold gamble, a beacon of hope in a time of darkness. At the helm of this audacious mission was Lieutenant Colonel James "Jimmy" Doolittle, a renowned aviator, skilled engineer, and visionary leader. Doolittle was the embodiment of American ingenuity and determination. He was a renowned test pilot, pushing the boundaries of flight. His expertise and reputation for calculated risks made him the ideal leader. The plan called for land-based bombers to launch an attack on Japan. The solution was daring: launch the bombers from an aircraft carrier. Doolittle handpicked volunteer pilots who shared his spirit of adventure. The call went out for volunteers, men willing to undertake a mission so dangerous, so shrouded in secrecy, that its true nature remained unknown even to them. The response was overwhelming. Pilots from across the Army Air Forces stepped forward, eager to serve their country and avenge Pearl Harbor. These men, the Doolittle Raiders, came from all walks of life. They were young, averaging just 23 years old. They were husbands, sons, and brothers, driven by a sense of duty and a burning desire to strike back at the enemy. They knew the risks. They understood that the odds of survival were slim, yet they volunteered without hesitation, their courage and patriotism unwavering in the face of the unknown. These were the men who would carry the fight to the enemy's doorstep. The final roster comprised 80 volunteers, 16 crews of 5 men each. They trained relentlessly, honing their skills, pushing their limits, preparing for a mission unlike any other. Their target, the Japanese mainland itself. The Doolittle Raiders trained in secrecy, cut off from the outside world, their mission known only to a select few. They practiced short takeoffs from land-based airfields, simulating the cramped conditions of an aircraft carrier's deck. They flew low-level bombing runs, honing their accuracy against mock targets. Every aspect of the mission was meticulously planned and rehearsed. The Raiders studied maps of Japan, familiarizing themselves with the terrain, the targets, and the potential escape routes. They practiced ditching their aircraft in the ocean, preparing for the possibility of a water landing. The B-25 Mitchell bombers, typically flown with a crew of 5, were modified for the mission. They were stripped down to reduce weight, their defensive armament removed to increase range. Additional fuel tanks were installed, maximizing their capacity for the long journey ahead. As the training intensified, so too did the bond between the Raiders. They faced the unknown together, their shared purpose forging a brotherhood that would last a lifetime. They were ready, prepared to write their names in the annals of military history. 16 B-25S-1 carrier and a date with destiny. On April 1st, 1942, the USS Hornet set sail from Alameda, California. The Raiders bid farewell to America, their destination, the Pacific Ocean. The journey was long and fraught with tension. The presence of the B-25S was a closely guarded secret. The risk of detection by Japanese submarines was ever present. On April 18, 1942, fate intervened. The Hornet was spotted by a Japanese patrol boat. The time to launch the raid had arrived. Section 6 bombs over Japan, a nation awakened. With the roar of engines echoing across the Pacific, 16 B-25 bombers, one after another, lifted off from the deck of the USS Hornet, their target Tokyo and other key cities on the Japanese mainland. The Doolittle Raid, a testament to American ingenuity and resolve, was underway. Flying low, hugging the contours of the waves, the raiders approached the Japanese coastline. They encountered minimal resistance, catching the Japanese completely off guard. The surprise was total. The audacity of the raid left the Japanese military in a state of disarray. The B-25s, their bomb bays loaded with a mixture of incendiary and high-explosive bombs, unleashed their payloads on military and industrial targets in Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, and Kobe. Factories, oil refineries, and military installations were hit, sending plumes of smoke billowing into the sky. The raid lasted for a little over an hour. In that short but impactful time, the Doolittle Raiders, those 80 brave American airmen, had struck a blow at the heart of the Japanese Empire. The damage inflicted was minimal, but the psychological impact was profound. Section 7. Escape and Evasion. The Perilous Journey Home. With their bombs dropped, the raiders turned their aircraft westward, their fuel gauges nearing empty. Their original plan to land at airfields in China was thwarted by deteriorating weather and the approaching darkness. They were forced to ditch their aircraft in the East China Sea or bail out over Japanese-occupied territory. The raiders endured harrowing experiences. Some were captured by the Japanese, facing torture and imprisonment. Others evaded capture with the help of Chinese civilians and soldiers, risking their lives to aid the downed American airmen. The journey home was a testament to the raiders' resilience, their unwavering will to survive. They endured hunger, exhaustion, and the constant threat of recapture. They navigated treacherous terrain, relying on the kindness of strangers in a foreign land. Of the 80 raiders who took part in the mission, 77 survived. 8 were captured by the Japanese, 3 were executed, and 1 died in captivity. The remaining 4 endured years of brutal treatment as prisoners of war before their eventual release. Section 8. Strategic Triumph, Shifting the Tide of War. The Doolittle Raid, though militarily insignificant in terms of damage inflicted, had a profound strategic impact. It was a much-needed morale booster for the United States, a nation still reeling from the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor. The raid demonstrated that Japan was not invincible, that its homeland was vulnerable to attack. It forced the Japanese military to re-evaluate its defensive strategy, diverting resources from the front lines to protect the home islands. The raid also exposed weaknesses in Japanese radar and early warning systems. The ease with which the raiders reached their targets raised serious concerns within the Japanese High Command, leading to a shake-up in leadership and a loss of face for the military. Perhaps most importantly, the Doolittle Raid served as a rallying point for the American people. It ignited a spirit of defiance, a determination to avenge Pearl Harbor and ultimately defeat the Axis powers. Section 9. Legacy of Courage, the enduring spirit of the Doolittle Raiders. The Doolittle Raid stands as a testament to the courage, ingenuity, and unwavering spirit of the American fighting man. It was a mission fraught with danger, a gamble that paid off beyond military objectives. The 80 volunteers who challenged the Japanese Empire became national heroes. Their story of daring, sacrifice, and patriotism inspires generations. The Doolittle Raid reminds us that the human spirit can overcome any obstacle. It transcends battlefields, a timeless reminder of indomitable spirit. Their legacy lives on in the hope they ignited and the courage they embodied.